Well, Andrew, I think it's fair to say that your book takes a different approach to anxiety than a lot of other books out there on the market. Most seem to focus on trying to get rid of anxiety. Your approach is different. Can you tell me a bit about how you approach the subject?
Okay, excellent question, and it's true that most people coming to the workshops would like to see it gone as soon as possible. Our approach is quite different. We are wanting to get to know it, which is more like going towards it than going away from it. Because anxiety itself, it's just another feeling, and there's lots of feelings. You can call them negative feelings, negative emotions, but they're all part of life. And so if we can start experiencing them just as they are, without the baggage of our attitude, preconceptions, and conditioning about it, then we can start to actually have a relationship with it. Then you have a living situation, and it can change and go through whatever dynamic it needs to go through.
Well, you mentioned conditioning, and most of us have had years and years of trying to get away from, stay away from anxiety. So in this book, how do you help us to learn a different way?
Well, the mindfulness and awareness meditation is the key. There are other practices and teachings that are complementary. But with the meditation, it's about, first of all, grounding ourselves so that we have a connection with the earth. And we don't feel like we're hovering and disembodied. Then we're developing our attention so that we notice when our mind has wandered, and we're able to bring ourselves back to the present moment, back to now. We keep doing that over and over again. So we have a sane reference point we can keep coming back to. There's also the element of open space in our practice, so that, because there can be a lot of claustrophobia associated with panic, fear, anxiety, stress. And so we see that we can actually introduce space into our experience. So those are a few of the elements. There's also recognizing our thoughts, and coming back means that we start to be able to notice that they actually are thoughts and they're not real. They don't have an independent reality. They're just something going through our mind. So we have less attachment and less fixation to our thoughts. Those are like the catastrophic thinking and all of that.
Can you tell me then what are some examples of the kinds of things people would learn in the book, maybe a couple of specific practices they might learn that they can, could you call it a do-it-yourself guide?
Yeah.
So that people can learn themselves to do these and help them relate differently to anxiety.
Exactly. Well, let's say you're in a situation that you feel like all of a sudden you don't have any control over what's going on, and you start to panic about that. So, and now the key with all of these examples is we have to actually have some awareness at the moment when we're going to remember what to do. So that's the whole process. But let's say that we actually do remember, we've been introduced to a practice that we can do right now. So in this one case, it's called head and shoulders, we can go to our posture and immediately straighten up with good posture. And so we're relating to something that's physical and real right away. And we look out and we have a sense of openness, open space. Because there's always open space, but usually we're very involved, and so we're cut off from it. So this is a way that we can reintroduce that connection with open space at any moment. And also, we're not trying to accomplish anything. We're just here, and we have a sense of being here and being open. So that gets rid of the project mentality that we tend to have, busyness. And so that can be done at any time we remember it. Because So there are a few elements there that are all very grounding and real. They're sort of helping us keep our connection to the real world when what's going on in our mind is some kind of catastrophic, this is the worst thing that could ever happen, I'm never going to survive, that kind of thinking. So we got that, but we also have this.
You mentioned earlier workshops, so can you tell me a bit about what you've actually been doing? You've been using these this approach and these practices in real life with people.
Yeah, I've been presenting an 8-week series, which has turned into a 10-week series recently. It's called Navigating Anxiety and Stress Through Mindfulness, that introduces this approach and these practices, and we do them together. So,
and maybe we should tell people now a bit more about the book. Let
yes.
them have a quick look, and you could tell us a little bit about what they'll find in it and where they can find it.
Okay. This is the book Anxiety, Stress and Mindfulness, Do-It-Yourself Guide to Wellness, which is just coming out now. Publisher is Second Tier Publishing, and it'll be available on Amazon and other places. The book has a number of elements. It does go into all of the approaches and practices and exercises that we're just talking about from the series, but it goes into some of them in more depth because you can do that in writing. There's also half a dozen first-person accounts of people who have gone through this training, people who have been dealing with anxiety, panic, and so on. And so they explain from their perspective basically how things are different in their life since they've been applying this and doing the practice regularly. So the key is not just to get this whiz-bang solution, but start doing the practice, doing it regularly, and continue with regular home sitting meditation practice along with the other practices.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.